Good evening. I'm Jessica Dupnack. Tonight, a Centerline man is charged in the fatal shooting of his girlfriend with children home at the time. It's one of the latest cases of domestic violence ending in murder. It has advocates scrambling to save lives. Fox 2's Dave Kinchin.
A mother of four was in her own kitchen. Her kids were home. Dinner time was approaching, and the man she trusted, the man who had promised her family he would take care of her, pulled out a gun and shot her in the back of the head. But here's the part that will stay with you long after this video ends. After he did it, before he walked out that door, he turned to her children, her babies, the youngest is 5 years old, and handed them candy, like nothing happened, like he hadn't just stolen their mother right in front of their eyes. That right there tells you everything you need to know about who Zachary Fuqua really is. And today, we're talking about Erica Marie Sanders, a 38-year-old woman from Centerline, Michigan, who deserved so much better than what she got on March 17th, 2026. A woman whose children are now left to carry something no child should ever have to carry. A woman whose family trusted the wrong person and paid the highest price imaginable. If this is your first time here, welcome to Shadow Crime. Before we go any further, if you care about stories like Erica's, stories that need to be told, voices that need to be heard, please hit that like button right now, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you click that bell icon so you never miss a video. It genuinely helps us keep bringing these stories to you. Now let's get into it. Erica Sanders was not just a name in a police report. She was a mother, a daughter, an aunt. She had 4 children who depended on her for everything. The youngest barely old enough to start school. The oldest at 17 already watching the world through eyes that have now seen far too much. People who knew Erica describe her as someone who showed up for her family. The kind of woman who held things together. Zachary Fuqua was 39 years old and had been Erica's live-in boyfriend. He wasn't just some guy she was casually seeing. He was fully embedded in the fabric of her family. Erica's niece, Amaya Price, called him her godfather. Let that sink in. This was a man who had made a promise to that family. A man who looked Erica's people in the eye and said he would take care of her. He wasn't an outsider. He was someone they welcomed in, trusted completely, and treated like one of their own. And on the surface, nothing about that picture screamed danger. Family members said there was no prior domestic violence that they were aware of, no history of him putting his hands on her, no visible signs that things had gotten to a place where anyone's life was at risk. But something was brewing underneath all of that. Something dark. Something that, looking back now, was hiding in plain sight for nearly a month before that terrible Tuesday evening.
Good evening. I'm Jessica Dupnack. Tonight, a Centerline man is charged in the fatal shooting of his girlfriend with children home at the time. It's one of the latest cases of domestic violence ending in murder. It has advocates scrambling to save lives. Fox 2's Dave Kinchin joins us live outside 37th District Court in Centerline. Dave, this is a really tough case.
Yeah, it really is. Even us in the newsroom, we were talking about this all week, how devastating this case is. The court system dealing with yet another tragedy that could have been prevented. Meantime, it's domestic violence activists, particularly people who are working to bring together a real collection of prevention programs, working, redoubling their efforts to do everything they can to save lives tonight.
People need to hear right now is, what do we do? Like, this is happening every day in the news.
Survivor and advocate JoJo Dries bristles at news of yet another deadly case of domestic violence. 39-year-old Zachary Fuqua now charged in the shooting death of his girlfriend, 38-year-old Erica Sanders, in Centerline this past Tuesday. The murder taking place with kids in the home, according to police.
These murders don't just happen like in a box or in a bubble. This has been happening. This abuse has been happening. The survivor sees no way out or no solutions outside of this, so they stay, and then it escalates into murder. So if you're a survivor and you're listening, know that there's help, know that people care. Pack a bag. It's little things, right? If you pack a bag, if you study what's out there, if you tell a friend. So this is a shameful conversation. People feel it's a shameful conversation. It's not. 1 in every 3 women, 1 in every 5 men have experienced domestic violence.
Prosecutors Prosecutors say Fuqua shot his girlfriend in the back of the head near Van Dyke and Sterling Street. Cops say he ran but was arrested a short distance away and charged with second-degree murder along with 5 other weapons felonies. The judge said Fuqua had a prior conviction of carrying a concealed weapon and was not supposed to have a firearm.
What the people intended to prove in this case, that the defendant had no qualms with shooting his significant other in the back of the head in the presence of 3 minor children. Moreover, the callousness of such an action, especially as it's alleged that as he left the house, he gave the children candy saying, "Here y'all babies go," suggests a callousness and general disregard for the value of human life.
Your Honor, my client is a born resident, Chrysler employee, supports an 11-year-old daughter. Obviously, the charges are quite serious, but he is cloaked with the presumption of innocence at this time. I'd ask the court to take that into consideration when deciding about it.
JoJo Dries says leaving relationship violence is the hardest thing to do, but it's possible because she's been there.
When I escaped, the community surrounded me with their loving arms, and I didn't know that they were going to do that. I jumped without, the way I put it is I jumped without a net, and the net appeared. So people provided clothes, they provided beds, they provided payment for my apartment. And so we modeled On the Wings of Angels after my own story.
And JoJo Dries says On the Wings of Angels has helped remove 20 women from dangerous situations and hundreds more children. As for Fuqua, the suspect in this case, his bond was denied. He's back in court on April 1st. Reporting live in Centerline, Dave Kinchin, Fox 2 News.
Now here's where things take a turn. And I need you to really pay attention to this part, because this is a part that should make all of us stop and think. For about a month leading up to March 17th, Zachary Fuqua had been posting things on his social media that were setting off alarm bells. Family members who saw the post said they could tell something was wrong, that he was battling something internally, that whatever was going on inside his head had been building and building for weeks. One family member came forward after the shooting and said he wished Fuqua had just come to him, that he would have listened, that maybe, just maybe, things could have ended differently, but Fuqua didn't reach out. He didn't ask for help. Instead, 3 days before he killed Erica, on March 14th, he got on his Facebook page and typed out 4 words that should have stopped everyone in their tracks. Going out with a bang. 4 words posted publicly. 3 days before a woman lost her life. And I want you to sit with that for a second, because that is not a vague, throwaway phrase. That is a man telling the world exactly what he was planning to do. And yet, here we are. Now I know some of you are going to say, how do you see something like that and not act on it? How does a post like that not trigger an immediate response from someone who cares? And honestly, that is one of the most painful questions surrounding this entire case, because the answer is complicated. People post dark things online all the time. It doesn't always mean something, except sometimes, like in Erica's case, it means everything. By the time March 17th arrived, something had clearly reached a breaking point inside Fuqua. That evening, around 5:30 p.m., an argument broke out at their home on Sterling Street near Van Dyke in Centerline. We don't know exactly what was said. We don't know who raised their voice first or what pushed things over the edge. What we do know is that it ended with Fuqua pulling out a gun inside that kitchen. And here's something that's important for you all to understand. Zachary Fuqua was not legally allowed to have that gun, not the firearm, not even the ammunition. He was a prohibited person, meaning the law had already determined that a weapon should never be in his hands. And yet, there he was, armed, in a home with a woman and her children. When police arrived at that Sterling Street home, they found Erica face down on the kitchen floor. Officers immediately began trying to save her life, performing life-saving techniques right there on the scene. Centerline Public Safety Director Paul Mazensky later confirmed that everything possible was done in those desperate moments. But it wasn't enough. Erica Marie Sanders was pronounced dead at the scene. She never made it out of her own kitchen.
He's accused of murdering his wife inside a Centerline home, and now he's behind bars wearing an anti-suicide smock and denying the charges against him. Tonight, we're learning new details about the moments leading up to that shooting and what prosecutors say happened inside the home. We thank you so much for joining us for the News at 5. I'm Kimberly Gill.
And I'm Ty Steele. That suspect, 39-year-old Zachary Fuqua, was arraigned today, charged with second-degree murder and multiple gun charges. Local 4's J. Scott Smith was in court today as disturbing new information came to light.
A 38-year-old man was charged formally today following a horrifying killing that happened in Centerline on St. Patrick's Day, and it left a lot of questions unanswered. 39-year-old Zachary Fuqua sat shackled inside a booth at the Macomb County Jail this morning, listening as Judge Suzanne Fonts read off a laundry list of charges against him. Fuqua was formally charged with second-degree murder today in connection with the brutal killing of his girlfriend, 38-year-old Erica Sanders. Fuqua also faces 5 separate gun charges. The shooting happened around 5:30 p.m. on Tuesday at their home on Sterling Street near Dyke in Centerline. Police arrived at the home to find Sanders face down, having been shot in the back of the head in front of her children. According to investigators, Fuqua fled the scene on foot before he was arrested by Centerline and Warren police at the corner of 10 Mile and Wainwright. During the hearing, the prosecutor described a brutal killing.
That the defendant had no qualms with shooting his significant other in the back of the head in the presence of 3 minor children. Moreover, the callousness of such an action, especially as it's alleged that as he left the house, he gave the children candy saying, "Here y'all babies go."
While no motive for the killing was mentioned, Fuqua's social media had shown signs recently that he had been going through some sort of crisis, including a Facebook post from March 14th that said he was, quote, going out with a bang. Fuqua attempted to say that he was not a flight risk during the hearing, but the judge disagreed and ordered him held without bond. Now, if convicted on the most serious charge, Zachary Fuqua could spend the rest of his life in jail. Now, he's going to currently be held without bond in the Macomb County Jail. His next court appearance is slated for April 1st. In Warren, I'm J. Scott Smith for Local 4.
Now let's talk about what happened next, because this is where the story shifts from heartbreaking to absolutely chilling. After shooting Eric in the back of the head, Fuqua didn't freeze. He didn't break down. He didn't sit in that kitchen consumed by what he had just done. Instead, he turned to those children, Erica's children, kids who had just watched their mother get murdered right in front of them, and he handed them candy, looked at those babies and said, "Here y'all babies go." Then he walked out the door and ran. I need you to really think about that, because that single detail tells you more about the mindset of Zachary Fuqua in that moment than anything else in this entire case. That was not a man in shock. That was not a man who snapped and immediately regretted it. That was a man who was calm enough, calculated enough, to think about giving those kids something on his way out. And that is deeply, deeply disturbing. Assistant Macomb County Prosecutor Jonathan Misek brought that detail straight into the courtroom, telling the judge directly the defendant had no qualms with shooting his significant other in the back of the head in the presence of 3 minor children, showing the callousness of his actions. The prosecution made it crystal clear that this was not a man who should be anywhere near the general public. The judge agreed. Fuqua was ordered held without bond. After fleeing the scene on foot, Fuqua didn't get far. Centerline and Warren police tracked him down about a mile away, catching him at the corner of 10 Mile and Wainwright. He even tried to argue in court that he wasn't a flight risk. The man who ran from the scene of his own crime tried to tell a judge he wasn't going anywhere. The judge wasn't buying it. Fuqua now faces second-degree murder, possession of firearm by a prohibited person, possession of ammunition by a prohibited person, and 3 counts of felony firearm. If convicted on that murder charge alone, he could spend the rest of his life behind bars. His next court date is April 1st, with a preliminary examination set for April 8th. But here's what I keep coming back to, and I want to leave you with this. The warning signs were there. The social media posts were there. The family could feel something was wrong. So why does it so often take a tragedy like this for people to act? How many Ericas are out there right now, living with someone whose warning signs are being explained away or ignored? And those children, the 5-year-old, the teenagers, what do they do with what they saw? How do you rebuild a childhood after something like that? How do you ever feel safe in your own home again? Erica Marie Sanders deserved better. Her children deserve better. And the least we can do is make sure her story is heard. If this case moved you, If you think Erica's story deserves to be seen by more people, please share this video right now. Drop her name in the comments so she is not forgotten. And if you are not already part of the Shadow Crime family, subscribe and hit that bell, because we are not done telling these stories. Not even close.